Life gives us moments when we have the opportunity to make a choice. And what we choose has the potential to change our lives forever. Join us now for another inspired episode of The Breakthrough. And now, please welcome the creator and host of the show, Jessica Dugas.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of The Breakthrough Show, your weekly dose of inspiration, changing how you look at and live your life. Our guest stories are, of course, full of motivation and transformation and will inspire you to grow in your own life. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas, and when I tell you that we have a jam-packed, star-studded, top-notch show for you today, I absolutely mean it. On today's show, we have a multi-talented, passionate woman who you might recognize as Elliot's mom from Steven Spielberg's E.T. the Extraterrestrial. The queen of scream herself, Dee Wallace, is here. But first, I have an extra special guest joining me for the opening of the show today who just released her debut album in April. She's a singer-songwriter and award nominee. This album that she released, you guys, is called Awakening. It's 14 songs, all written and performed by her. Please help me welcome to the show, Olivia Ambani. Olivia, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so excited to have you on. We talked a little while probably several weeks before we've gotten the chance to connect again today. So it's really good to see you today. And I'm so excited. I've been listening to your music, but I can't wait for everybody else to hear you sing today too.
Yay. Thank you so much for listening. It's always such an honor to have someone listen to my music,
Yes, absolutely. I've been doing, a lot of covers and stuff lately, and some of them are just for really not a lot of effort put behind them, like it's just me having fun. But it's so nice even when someone's just listens to that and says, hey, it was really nice to hear you sing today, right?
Yeah, it is. It's just that affirmation that you get that someone has heard you. So yeah, it's a big thing.
Yes, I love the whole album, Awakening. It's beautiful. There's so much heart behind it. And I have to tell you a funny synchronicity. So when I first heard your voice, I thought to myself, she kind of has this Mary J. Blige vibe behind her song.
Wow.
One of my favorite singers. Okay. And so one of my favorite songs from her is the song Just Fine. And one of your singles from this album is Better Than Just Fine, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it is. That's so funny.
That's my morning jam. That's my morning jam. That's what I listen to when I get up in the morning. So I just thought that was so synchronistic. I thought she reminds me of Mary J. Blige. And then when I looked at the album, I thought, Get Out. That's the name of the song.
It's a sign.
It was a sign for sure. So tell us a little bit how you got into music. Have you always been into music, or is it what's your journey been like?
Yeah, so I started music a while ago. So when I was in school, I really loved music. In fact, I remember my very first musical was when I was about 4, and I was Goldilocks, so I got to sing the lead. And I just remember loving performing on stage. So in school, it was great because I got to do that. And then I also went to churches where we got to do a lot of performance. But I think I struggled to figure out how I could make that a career. Is it even possible? And so I think it was when I was in university that I really started to try figure things out. So I would look for auditions for talent shows. I was trying to look for maybe how can one get signed, maybe getting a demo together to send to an A&R. Yeah, I was just trying to figure things out. So it was when I was in university that I started to really push and see how I can make it a career. But I was still kind of afraid because I was studying to be a web designer and graphic designer because I still need to be safe in some way. So that's what I did. And also I was my parents were very supportive, but they always said, whatever you do, make sure you make money from it. And so I was I'm not too sure how I'll make money from music immediately. So I wanted to have kind of a backup. And then I finished university, and I studied in the UK, and I came back home to Kenya. And I was, again, still trying to figure it out. So I did backup vocals for a couple of friends. I felt it just wasn't heading anywhere. So I don't know, like, I'm not sure this is meant for me, but I was watching a couple of videos just on YouTube, and I was seeing all these people like perform, and I watched an Adele performance, UK amazing artist Adele, and I saw her Royal Albert Hall performance, and I was like, this is what I want to do with my life. And so I remember asking myself, what's the one thing I would regret not doing? And that was to work on my music. So then I started the journey again. And that's how The Awakening was literally created. After that moment, I said, okay, I may not get signed. I may never get discovered the way I thought I would, but I really want to figure out my music. And so then I started to just the process of songwriting, of getting things together, and and now here I am.
I love your story so much for a couple of reasons. First of all, I think that there are many of us that feel like if we can't do it from the time that to get into something like this, you have to be doing it from the time that you're very young. And so if we don't, then we get discouraged and we don't go back. We may have had people that have said, look, you can't make money, or this is only for select few people and you're not one of them, kind of thing. And so there's that part. And then there's also, I love that you said, even if this is not what I pictured it to be, even if this is not what I expected it to be, I'm going to do it anyway because I have to figure it out for myself, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that was the thing. And I feel that it's a constant question and a constant journey for me, because even when you've asked yourself that question, you then release music and then you're still trying to be chosen, or you're trying to figure out, how can I get more views, or how can I get more people to accept my music or listen to my music. And I always have to remind myself that you love it, you've accepted it, and even if it doesn't go the way you expect it to go, just know that it's good enough. And so it's a constant journey, because especially now there's so many things that we feel we need to validate what we're doing, if it's 1 million followers, or if it's so many views, or how much money have you made. And so for me, I'm always trying to remind myself that it's okay. Your journey might not look like what success is supposed to for other people, but make sure you're enjoying it, and your journey is unique to you. And who knows, it might just inspire someone else to still do it because you're comfortable in what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that so much. How would you describe your music for people that have not heard you sing before, have not heard your music? How would you describe your music?
Well, I like to describe it in terms of a genre. I don't necessarily have one, but I like to call it soul pop. Or pop soul, where it's a bit of popular music, so different genres, whether it's R&B or soul. And I feel like it's also music that connects to, it's a story. I love telling stories, and so that's how I describe my music. But I feel like it's kind of eclectic. I wouldn't necessarily say I fit in any specific genre, but it's always a story that I'm trying to tell from my experience. So that's how I would describe my music. Yeah.
I'm glad that you describe it that way, because I think part of what discouraged me from following through with my music when I was growing up was that I never felt like I fit into a box. When someone would say, well, what genre do you want to sing? I'd be like, I don't know. It depends on how I feel today. I might want to sing some blues, or I might want to sing some pop, or, some once in a while country. I have to be in a mood for the, for the country. But it's nice to see that, and I think we see that a lot in music these days. So many people don't want to be referred to. I mean, even just looking at someone like Taylor Swift, who started in country and has gone to pop and has done all these different things, because I don't think anybody in their soul really wants to be pinned down to one thing. They want to explore all the things. Is that how you feel too?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a journey I even went through with my music, is that different people had different perceptions of what I should sing. They're like, you should do jazz. And people are like, no, you should do more this. But I was like, but no, I need to sing. I think for me, especially when I create my music, it needs to connect to me first. And I can't force a genre. So if it sounds more jazz, or sounds more blues, or sounds more R&B, that's just how the song, I feel, came to me. And I always encourage other people to be authentic to yourself when you're writing. Also as an artist, like, because I speak other languages, so I have my mother tongue, which is Maragoli, and then there's one of the national languages of Kenya is Swahili, and like a lot of local artists do sing in Kiswahili, but I don't, and that was something I really struggled with at first, because I was like, oh, maybe I should try, but then I just couldn't write that well in Kiswahili. So I said, why don't I just be true to myself? I'm great at writing in English, so I'll write in that, and hopefully people will connect to that. And I feel that's also another struggle for different people. It's like maybe wherever you're from, there's a specific sound that feels more acceptable, and so you wonder if you should change your sound to fit. But I always feel like, you know, cultures and who we are are always evolving, and we're influenced by so many different things. And I don't feel like you should ever feel like stuck in a box because that's what other people think you should do. Because I found such a big reception for just the way I create my music, because people connect to music whether they understand what you're singing or not, you know. And so I feel like, yeah, it's something that I really appreciate, and I try to always encourage myself, like, just be true to yourself, don't worry about being in any box. And yeah,
that is gold, you guys. It's so refreshing and good to hear and talk about that. We can ultimately come back to ourselves and what we feel drawn to and what we feel connected with and in alignment with, and to not allow yourself to be, you know, held to one specific thing because of where you're from or what language you speak or how you look, what you look like, any of that. That you should go with what feels good in your heart. And you can definitely feel that in this album, that it was all things that meant something to you, and that you just did what felt good. You could really
yeah,
feel that in your music.
I'm really happy. I'm really happy that it connected, because that's the thing. When you write music, you can connect to it, but you don't know how other people will reflect or receive it. So it's really great to hear that that's what came across.
Absolutely. So I mentioned that you definitely gave me the vibe of Mary J. Blige when I first listened to you, and you also mentioned Adele. But who are some of your musical influences? Who are people that you look up to and really enjoy to inspire you in your music?
So yeah, definitely Adele is there, and there's Toni Braxton and Tracy
Mhm.
Chapman, for me, are the two artists that vocally have always inspired me. And they're really diverse in terms of their genres, but I love the tone of voice. I love the way they're able to express themselves. And also because they're altos, so I'm like, yay, another alto like me.
Yeah.
I really loved that. That was really inspiring. And then I also love John Legend and John Mayer, the two Johns. I really love the way the way they're able to like fuse. Like John is really strong on the piano, and John Mayer with the guitar. Like I always feel like you can hear when they're playing, and they just the way they tell stories as well through music. And there's another artist that I really love. Her name is Asha, and she's Nigerian. And I loved the way she was able to navigate like being Nigerian and like singing in Yoruba and the different languages she sings in. And that most of the songs I love of hers, again, I don't know half of what she's saying, but I connect so deeply. And she was quite different for when she came out. Like I remember I watched an interview of someone saying that, you know, they were not sure where she would fit, but now she's like such a massive artist, both locally and internationally. And so those are the artists that really inspire me, like people who are able to take what they believe in or their sound and just create something beautiful and not worry too much about whether they fit in the mold of what's happening or not. Yeah, so those are the few artists. There are many more, but those are the ones I would.
We could have a whole show talking about good
Yeah,
people that we like in music.
yeah, we could.
I love that though, about, you know, not even having to know what someone is saying, but really connecting to the music or the lyric anyway. I know for me, one of the first people that I listened to sing in another language, I remember as a young teenager, was John Cicada, when he was singing a lot of the songs in Spanish. And I had no idea, but I was like, man, this is good. I loved his voice and I loved the feel of the music. And then he sang some of them in English, and I was like, oh, well, now it just brings it all together. And I loved that. That was one of the first experiences for me. So you're going to sing for us today, and I'm so excited. Can you tell us a little bit about the song Life We Live?
Yeah, so the song Life We Live is a really interesting song. It was kind of written from a place of not wanting to have regret. and how so many times it's easy to blame other people for the situations that are in our lives. And as much as they do have an effect, the power comes when you realize that it's your life. Like, you have the power through the decisions you make. So that's pretty much what Life We Live is about.
Awesome. Well, guys, I'm so excited that she's going to perform for us today. Here to perform her single Life We Live from her debut album, The Awakening, here's Olivia Ambani.
And it's over and done, but you're begging for a minute, for a second to relate to something new. Destiny's done, dreams all over. You stare death in the face. You say, give me a little more time. I promise I'll be better. Days are wasted, times are gone, and you wish you said, I'm sorry, please, and thank you more often, yes. And you've been looking for that one decision you made over and over and over and over again. Many warnings had come. Voices said, just stop and listen, but your mind was set on doing what you knew. Each time faulting all around you till your reflection caught you. Now you say, give me a little more time, I promise I'll be better. And days are wasted, times are gone, and you wish you said, I'm sorry, please, and thank you more often, yes. And you've been looking for that one decision you made over and over again. You made over and over again. And you wish you had stopped to say it's me. I will be changing, you say silently, hoping that one day your dream will come back to thee, make better of it, and cause this life you're living is up to you. Cause this life you're living is up to you. Thank you.
Yes, awesome. So I need to get like a sound. Maybe I'll put it in when I edit this one, a sound clip of some big applause. That's okay.
Thank you.
So awesome. I love I got chills at one part when you do, anytime you do some vocal acrobatics with your voice. Well, it's just beautiful, just beautiful. Olivia, thank you so much for being here with us today and for sharing your gift. And make sure that everybody check out the show notes so that you can connect with Olivia and also find out where you can purchase and listen to her music. Olivia, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome, guys. Well, we'll be back in just a minute with the Queen of Scream herself, Miss Dee Wallace. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Hey, Jessica Dugas here, creator, producer, and host of The Breakthrough Show. We have big goals here at the show in the desire to change the world one Breakthrough Show episode at a time. And honestly, we couldn't do it without you. We want to take this moment to give a huge thank you to our Patreon supporters for helping us to not only expand the show, but spread its message far and wide. If you're not a supporter yet, we would love to have you. You can choose any tier with tons of benefits at patreon.com/thebreakthroughshow. We can't wait to have you part of our Breakthrough Show family. And now back to the show. Welcome back to the Breakthrough Show. My special guest today has been a teacher. She's an author of 5 books on self-creation, a radio show host, a much sought after speaker, and she helps her clients through private sessions and webinars in learning to accept their own magnificence and power. I love that, in a positive and loving way. You might recognize her as an internationally known actress, best known for her role as the mother in Steven Spielberg's E.T. the Extraterrestrial. Everyone, please welcome my very special guest today, Miss Dee Wallace. Dee, thank you for being here.
My great pleasure. Thank you.
I am always I was telling Dee before the show that I got all my interviews out of the way with asking her about her whole film career, because it is lengthy. It's more lengthy than I thought it was. Do you feel like that sometimes? Do you look back at everything and you've done and go, how did I possibly fit all that in?
Well, when my publicist called me and said, Dee, do you know you're the only living actress with over 200 film credits? I went, what? When did I do that? How old am I? Right? You know, like we were talking about before the show, some of those you never want to mention ever in my life. But for the most part, I've had a really amazing career with great people and awesome projects. And I don't know when I did it, because I actually got started pretty late. I didn't leave Kansas until my late 20s and went to New York to seek my fame and fortune. So I just, I'm a big believer in naivete. And I just went, I'm going to go off to New York and be a movie star, right? And I was so naive that I didn't have any like mental barriers up for myself, and just kept running into people going, oh, well, I'll help you here and I'll help you there, and come to this party. Oh, you know who my agents are. And between the time I left Kansas to go to New York and the time I started in ET was a little over 7 years,
Wow.
which is unheard of in my business.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's been a journey and a ride, and I just keep putting another foot in front and taking the next step.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to know that you do that too. I think it's really easy for people, especially many of us who have dreamed of being on the big screen. We've dreamed of being a singer or whatever it is that we've dreamed of doing, and it sometimes can be easy for us to put everybody in Hollywood on a pedestal and think that they don't have real life like the rest of us. And I love, you're such a grounded real life person, and I just love that about you.
Well, and thank you. And I got to tell you, most of us are. Most of us really are. Because of the nature of the business, when you get to the statue of Lady Gaga, it's not because of her that she needs all the protection. It's because of the people around her that don't treat her as a regular person, right?
Yeah.
And so there's this kind of mentality in our world that says a movie star or a personality, a musician, famous musician, that we have a right to judge them. We have a right to really not look into, but even be in the middle of their lives and what their choices are. And it's too bad that that we don't allow ourselves to get to know the people for who they are instead of what they do.
Or instead of a character too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm literally Deanna Bowers from Kansas. My other side is Dee Wallace, the actress, and my other side of that is Dee Wallace, the healer. And my greatest role is Dee Wallace, the mom. They told me I would never have my baby. It was impossible for me to get pregnant. I said, yeah, well, God and I have a different plan, so thanks for sharing. She's 31 now. She's my best friend. And so I just say to everybody out there, especially people who want to get into this business, be true to yourself. If you love it, do it. If you don't love it, go do something else, because you will attract more of what you love, and they really are looking for you to be you. They're not looking for you to walk in the door and be a persona of who you think they want you to be. They really do want you to be your authentic self.
I love that. And you totally answered my son's question. He wants to be a voice actor. And he said, Mom, would you just ask her like what advice she would have for me? And so you already answered it. We're good. We're good.
Well, there's a lot of advice on that one.
Yeah.
But guys, the first thing you're going to hear across the board is, oh my God, you want to do that? It's so hard. It's so impossible to get started. And again, are you going to accept somebody else's limitations, or are you going to create your life the way you want it?
Yes.
That's
yes.
really what it comes down to. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go do it anyway.
I love that. Yes. Thank you for sharing. And I love that. I'm going to write that down for myself. I'm going to put that, because it's hard not to internalize, especially if the advice or something comes from someone who you feel like you trust or has been in your life a long time. It's hard not to internalize that and say, take it to heart.
Well, let's say it's easy to turn that around. It's just a choice after all. And I'm going on record of saying that all your parents taught you wrong because they were taught wrong, because their parents were taught wrong and their grandparents were taught wrong. And, we, from the very, very beginning, we come in with this power, right? Look at any baby. Hi, I'm the middle of the world. I'm the center of the universe. Everybody come take care, and they do. And then around 2 years old, maybe a little earlier, we start getting socialized. And because our parents have been taught, not only does the world judge their kids, but the world judges them if the kids don't toe the line. And so little by little, we're taught to give our power away. I want to play with my toy. Yeah, but Johnny wants the toy, so give it to him. And what does that say to a 2 or 3 year old? Oh, I see. If I want to be loved, I better give up what I want. And then we get to 20 and 30 and 40, and we're going, why can't I follow through on my power around this thing that I want to create in my life? Because we have all our little kids going, yeah, but you won't be loved. Yeah, but mommy won't like you. Yeah, but if you have too much, God doesn't like that. All of these limiting messages that just aren't true. They're just not true. Now, of course, you don't want to take that power and not put it through love, because then you can misuse it. And we see a lot of that going on in our world right now, the misuse of power. There's a great book out called Power versus Force. The difference between forcing what you want and the power of creating it. It really is all brain science, by the way. I'm convinced Christ was teaching brain science.
It's a good thought. I'm assuming that a lot of this that you're talking about right now is really the heart of when you work with people one-on-one on embracing their power, embracing their magnificence. And I love that when I said in the beginning, I was reading a little bit of your bio off. You've done so many different things. That's something that you and I have in common. We seem to be very multi-passionate. We enjoy a lot of different things. Do you feel like those are all very separate things in your life, or do things sort of bleed over, or do they have similarities in some kind of way?
Well, I think creation is creation. So it's interesting because half of my life I do horror films, and the other half of my life I'm teaching people how to heal from fear. And the two segue very nicely with each other. I study fear. I know fear. I know what fear feels like. So I can then help people discover the pockets in their energy of where that fear started and how it's running their life now. If anybody out there wants more information on how your little child is running your adult life, I've got a great TED Talk on YouTube. Just put in TED Talk Dee Wallace and it should come up. The more you understand your little child and what you're taught when you're little, the more you will understand the walls you keep hitting as an adult, because, as a good book says, as you believe, it's going to be delivered to you, baby. It's kind of like the Matrix. Pick a door, any door. You can go through that door and have that experience through the thoughts and the feelings and the perspectives you hold. You can open another door of more expanded thoughts and feelings and knowing, and have an entirely different experience in your life. You really are the creator of you, because nobody can think a thought or feel a feeling or hold a perspective that you don't say okay to. So the more you realize your power of choice, the more you create in your life.
There's a lot of people, I feel like, that, you know, I've talked to friends before who truly don't believe that. They think that things in their lives have been handed to them and that that's just the way things are. And they feel what seems to me very powerless over their situations. Do you think that maybe some people it's not necessarily on their journey to truly understand that in this life? Do you think that it's possible for everybody to get to that point?
I absolutely know it's possible for everybody to get to that point, but you've got to choose to want to. So you really have to make, again, your choice is your heaven or your hell. And if you get up every morning and go, oh my God, I don't know how, I can't seem to, that is literally a direction to your energy to create more of that. If you get up in the morning and go, how can I? What can I do? How can I enjoy doing it more? Your brain will find that, just like any computer. If you keep claiming the negative, your brain can only find the negative. And brain science says whatever you focus on, you feed your energy to, your attention and your focus goes there. And then it creates the illusion of the reality of your life. Oh, I see, I'm focused on how many people disrespect me. Everywhere I look, people are disrespecting me. Well, I'm telling you that that comes from your belief that people disrespect you.
Yeah.
So until you get a handle on your own belief system, the reality of your life is not going to change the way it looks. Because the reality of your life is a mirror to what is going on within you. And we know, again, scientifically, that our hearts and our brains give off electrical impulses. That's why we use electrocardiograms and electroencephalograms to measure them, right? So every time you have a thought, it's connected to an electrical impulse, which shoots out into the universe, just like tuning into an old radio, right? If you want the life that you want, you've got to tune yourself in to find that frequency within yourself, and then the universe can match that frequency and take you to the station of you want to play.
I like that, the station of you that you want to play. That's a good analogy to have in your head. I saw an interview where you were talking about how the reason that you liked doing horror, you said, believe you said in the interview that you would be bored if you had to do comedy. And I was thinking about that in relation to real life, and saying, do you think that there are people that just like that excitement, that the arch of the drama and different things that happen into your life, and that maybe it becomes an addiction?
Oh, absolutely. We are, most of us, hooked on the roller coaster ride of life. And I got very clear pretty early on in my career that I wanted to use all that in my acting, and I didn't want it to run me in my life. And until we can shift again our own belief system to know that peace and joy and love is more exciting than the struggle of having to be okay, we're going to get hooked on that roller coaster. See, it's great if you pay a ticket and go on the ride to have fun. It's a whole other thing if you think life just happens to you and you've lost all your money and now you're sick. I don't believe that. According to my channel, the whole core of this virus energetically is I have no control. And so what is it putting everybody into? I have no control. I can't leave my house. I can't buy my food. I can't, see my family. I don't have control over how my life is working. And I tell all my clients, that's why our work is so important right now, is because one person who stays in that knowing of creating the peace and the balance and the love can affect thousands of other people and help them hold the balance on it.
I love that. And I agree that I think that the work that we do to help people is so important, especially when we're going through things globally, because it can be easy for people to get sucked in to everything that's going on. And a lot of people, I feel like, don't, like I said, feel like that they're in control and they have a choice, and they can choose how they're going to behave, what they want to do, how they're going to react when they wake up in the morning. They can choose every moment, right?
Yep. Yeah. And if you've been taught, or if you've experienced in your life that you didn't have control, you didn't have it back then because your initial belief was that you didn't have it. And then you've built your life on it ever since. And really, you got to start getting up every morning and going, okay, today I'm the creator of me. Every thought I have and feeling I have and perspective I hold, I absolutely choose and direct my energy to match that with love, with empowerment, with loving myself, which is a big one, because again, from the time we're 2 years old on, we're taught to stop loving ourselves and giving ourselves up. Ask any mother. If I really love my child, I'll give myself up, which is, of course, what half my work is about, like Cujo and all those. Which, by the way, I watched my mother do. But I believe there's a difference between enabling someone, which is, I'll do it all for you. I'll take care of it. I'll save you. I'll make the decision for you. That's enabling. And, baby, I will support you. I will love you unconditionally. If you want to be a drug addict, I will love you unconditionally anyway. But don't ask me to be involved in your drama, because that's not good for me and I'm not going there. And that takes a lot of tough love, especially if you're a parent.
Yeah. I watched your TED Talk, and it was such um, a breakthrough moment for me, as I've dealt with different health things in my life, because um, I was able to, I sat there and I thought for a little while after I watched it, and I've always known sort of internally, I guess, somewhere, that the different issues that I've had are coming from somewhere. I don't believe that I was just handed anything. I've never felt that way. Even back before I really was big into my personal development and spiritual development journey, I just never believed that I felt like it was coming from somewhere. And I was able to look at different situations in my life, for example, with my grandparents, and with my grandfather in particular. When he got sick, I saw a lot of things change. And I saw suddenly a lot of people coming around and paying attention to him that didn't pay attention to him before. And I just saw a lot of different things like that, and thought to myself, oh my gosh, Jessica.
Well, because when you shift your energy, the energy around you has to shift. Again, it's science, it's also spirituality. But I'll tell you, the biggest gift is that your mom got to see how efficiently she could handle her own life.
Mm.
And she had never been given that gift before.
Right. Yeah. I think about my grandmother a lot in that way. She became so independent so fast, and just, nobody could, she was absolutely just always a very prayerful person. If people had things going on, they would say, go to Marge, because Marge has a direct line. She was always in that way. And but she all of a sudden, when he got sick, had this strength like that. It was something that my mom got to see, something I got to see, and luckily my oldest children got to see.
So what somebody would call a travesty, other people can look at and go, wow, look at all the gifts that are coming from this. And again, therein lies your heaven or your hell.
And it doesn't mean that we're dishonoring the experience or what they went through for us to say that we're getting something positive from it, correct?
You're honoring it. Why would you? See, that's a perfect example of your little girl talking right there, right?
Yeah.
Why would we dishonor finding the beauty and the freedom and the lessons for all of us in any situation?
Right.
Right. But, there's so many limiting messages from religion and society that we're all battling still. And I think it's so funny because none of these messages came from God, like you're not worthy to sit at the feet of Christ. In the Bible, God and Christ said, these miracles and more will you do also. Go do your miracles. But man, the way long time ago, the popes and the kings got together and said, well, we can't tell them that they really have power over their own creation, because then we won't have enough power. So then everything got diluted into what man's concept of the powerful message of God and Christ, Buddha, all of our great teachers. Like Buddha, love. My channel says love heals everything and creates everything. It's the strongest force on earth. And it's the last thing we go to.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
I know we talked a lot about the parent-child relationship. When I was asking you before when we were booking this episode about breakthrough moments that you had, you mentioned a specific moment that you had about your mom singing in church. Do you remember about that?
She wasn't singing. My mother was a beautiful actress in community theater. She was a secretary by trade. She also directed and produced all the religious plays at our church. And every Easter and every Christmas, people from 4 states would come to watch my mother. I get all kerflumped when I think about it. Present what we would call today monologues, but they were 30-minute readings of, like at Easter, she would do one called the Crucifixion. And I was sitting in church and my mom was on stage, and I looked around at this overpacked auditorium. And people, grown men were crying, and, and I sat there and I went, oh, I want to do this. I want to do what my mommy's doing. I want to move people like this. Now, mind you, I had already played Baby Jesus. That was my first part. And I had done a lot of modeling, and my mother, we were so poor that she bartered her secretarial skills to get me dance lessons and things. So I was already on my way to being the creative person I was born to be. And that was really the breakthrough moment for me, as far as knowing that I wanted to do this in my life. But the other breakthrough moment that really solidified my power of creation and my belief in God and the world was when my daughter was born. It's just the greatest production I've ever been involved in, making that kid.
I think we have a lot of moms that watch this show, because that's how I started in mentoring people, was working with moms, period, because I was a mom and because I had to find a place. I was so not joyful in the beginning of my life as a mom. There was a lot that I had to go through personally. And so anyway, I started working a lot with moms. And so a lot of them watch this show, and I know that they will be able to relate to that so well, that, we feel like we can do a lot of different things in our life, but gosh, the birth of our children, that's,
oh. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing, I could win an Academy Award. I could star with Anthony Hopkins, which is my dream. I'd give it all up.
Yeah.
For that moment where I got my kid.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's
and
special.
We're best friends now. She calls me on everything. I call her on everything. She knows all my healing work. She'll rat me out, and I'll go, God, I just taught you really too well, didn't I? But I don't know. We're just a huge support system for each other.
I'm glad to know that my oldest daughter is going to be 13 soon, and
oh, God bless you, my child.
And well, I have two sons that are older than her, so I've been there with them. But girls are a different,
whole different story, baby.
Yeah. So, but I'm glad to hear that those things continue as they get,
Well, you know, what happens is they pull away from you because they have to. They have to find their own voice and who they are. And so, not saying you will, but you might be in for a few tumultuous years here while she's saying, I'm a woman, hear me roar, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, well, it's gradual, but it's all of a sudden, they go, wow, my mom's pretty cool, you know, and then they come back to you, and then you create a whole new kind of relationship of friendship and support with them, and it's just a really truly beautiful thing. But call me if in the next few years. There's this book that got me through it. It's called Yes, Your Teen is Crazy.
I could see how that would feel.
I think it was a therapist that told me to get that book. And man, did it make a difference. That book and parent effectiveness training made all the difference in the world, because I raised her to be a very strong, vocal person who, I mean, anytime I had to have a meeting with a teacher, I took her with me every time. Let her voice her opinion. Let her hear the teacher's opinion. Let her watch how you worked things out in an adult way when there were, you know, contentions. And quite frankly, and I am a teacher, you know, I taught high school. There are a lot of teachers that don't want kids like that.
Yeah.
They don't want to hear their power and their own sense of autonomy, right? Knowing who they are. And I would never do anything differently. I always taught her to do it with respect, right? But never to back down from her own voice.
That's such an important message, I think, for any child, and especially for young girls now, I think, is to don't, you know, let your voice be heard. And I love how you said it, you taught her to do it with respect as well. Because I think there is a way to stand your ground and stand up for yourself, but to do it in a way that is tactful and respectful and isn't, you know, bombarding all kinds of fun energy out there.
Well, that's true power. You know, when you can speak your truth through love and respect, that's true power. And unfortunately, we have an awfully lot of people exhibiting force now instead of power through love.
It's an interesting world as far as that's concerned with social media now. Suddenly everybody's, you know, a warrior behind the keyboard, and I think say a lot of things that they wouldn't necessarily say if we were still face to face like we were.
I guarantee you. You know, and who gave people the right to judge other people because we have social media? There's so much flippant judgment out there. And if you're judging somebody else, I can tell you who you're really judging is yourself, because you're scared to death you're not up to snuff. Otherwise, you wouldn't have to judge them.
Yeah, I think that's something really important for us. We've talked a lot on this show the past 4 seasons about relationships being a fantastic mirror and showing you things about yourself. And what are some of the things that you've learned about yourself through other people and how they've responded to you or your work or anything like that?
Continually that I'm a lot more awesome than I think I am. It's true. I mean, I must hear it 10 times a day through emails and calls and my private sessions that I do. And, you know, that I'll tell you the story. I was driving home from my dance recital. I think I talk about this in my book, Bright Light. And I'm in the back seat, and my aunt's here, and my mom's driving. And I'm reliving it was my first solo, right? And I had worked and worked and worked and worked and worked to be able to do these pirouettes. And I'm sitting there reliving it, and I burst, I go, oh, Mommy, I was good. I was really, really good, wasn't I? And my aunt turned around and said, Deanna Bowers, don't you ever say you're good. And if other people say you're good, you say, oh, no, I'm not, but thank you. You don't ever, ever toot your own horn. Mm-hmm. Now, isn't that what most of us are taught? Yes, it is. And so cut to years later, and I come out in the biggest blockbuster of all time, and everybody's going, Dee Wallace is so amazing. Dee Wallace is so amazing. And you know what I did? Because that little girl in me said, tell him you're not. Don't let him think you're great. You know, I mean, that's joyless, right? So I don't know. I just invite everybody to look at those places in you where you're not saying, God, I really am pretty awesome. You know, I help my family. I'm a good friend. I'm talented in this area or this area or this area. I don't care if you bake cookies for the kids in the neighborhood. One of my favorite people in my life was a grandma who lived by herself in our neighborhood. And she just created a safe place for all of us to go. And there were always cookies. And she'd always sit down and talk to us no matter what we needed to talk about. She served so much in my early lifetime by just being there and listening and feeding me chocolate chip cookies, right? So, you know, you serve in so many different ways if you just really stay authentic and stay in love. And then the opportunities for you to serve will come to you. Trust me, they will.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, listen, it's been this joke throughout all of the seasons of this show that we always find something to cry about. And I have held it together every episode that I've recorded so far until this one. It has been.
Sorry.
I cried with Dee Wallace.
When you open your heart, that's what happens. Right? Tears are good. Ask any actor.
Yeah.
You know, tears, we strive to be so in touch with ourselves as an actor that we can emote truthfully from a true connection within us, right? Look at a Hallmark commercial.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I can't get through a Hallmark. Or Budweiser with the beautiful horses, or any of the dog films where they die and they come back as another dog, and then they die. And I was on the plane watching the last one going, the guy next to me went, ma'am, are you all right? I said, yes, this is the movie.
Speaking of commercials.
Yes.
There was a certain commercial that had me all riled up during the Super Bowl. And I thought to myself, E.T.'s coming back.
Yeah. You know, until I saw that commercial, I would have said absolutely not, never. They're never going to do a remake. Now I don't know. I have no information firsthand that it's happening, but I do know that commercial would have never happened had Steven Spielberg not given his okay. And I do know that Steven works very far in the future about things. So, yeah, maybe. I don't know. You know, truthfully, I hope not. I would like it to just be a classic.
Yeah.
I would like it, well, it is our Wizard of Oz.
Mm.
And just to be passed down for centuries and centuries and centuries. And, you know, it's ET2. It doesn't
Yeah.
even sound right.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
It was one of those commercials where I saw it and I was like, oh my gosh. And it just tugged right at my, you know, because I remember growing up and watching it. And I even had a friend of mine recently tell me that didn't speak English when he was little. He's like, that was the first English movie I ever saw. My friend Arcio that I went to school with. So shout out to him. But
I have so many stories. Moving. One lady came up to me at a convention with tears in her eyes. She said, Ms. Wallace, you're a part of a miracle in my life. My son is autistic. He's 10 years old. I had never heard him speak a word in his entire life. And I took him to see the re-release of E.T. And on the way home, he started saying every line that E.T. said. There's something about that film that breaks down barriers and reaches into our heart and reminds us of the truth. And, you know, we have a lot of those. Look back at Peter Pan. Think happy thoughts and you fly. Wizard of Oz, you had the power all along, Dorothy. E.T., keep your heart open. You get back to the home of you. And it's all about love and joy and love and joy and love and joy. And we go, oh yeah, isn't that sweet? Let's have a war on drugs. Let's have a war on breast cancer. Let's have a war. Let's have a war. Let's have a war. When are we going to get it?
Right. Yeah.
You know, I love Neil Donald Walsh's quote in Conversations with God. He says, in the final analysis, there's only one decision, fear or love, which is a really good thing to remember right now with everything going on. Are you in fear or are you in love?
Absolutely. This has been a whole therapy session with Dee today.
Oh, I hope I haven't run off at the mouth too much. I get excited about all of it.
It's been amazing. It really has. Tell everybody how you work with your clients and what that looks like.
Okay, well, basically, you call me, we get balanced, and you can ask any question about any subject you want. I'm a clairaudient channel. I just get out of the way. I work with a pendulum, which is like a telephone. I would have to say my strength is you bring in your question, your problem, and my channel is able to go into your energy and unravel why you have that belief system, where it started, who it started with, give you some really powerful statements and exercises to turn that around. And that's all in 30 minutes. You cannot believe how much we get done in a 30-minute session. There's also a lot of free stuff on my website that you can go listen to start getting empowered with. And my website is iamdeewallace.com. Pretty easy.
Awesome.
You can book a session through the website and listen to a lot of things and just get your power back, because right now I want everybody to understand that the mass consciousness is so permeated with fear and not knowing that unless you are vigilantly choosing your thoughts and where you want to put your attention on love and joy and the control of your own life, the energy of the mass consciousness can start affecting you, right? Because energy everything's energy. We all learned that in 5th grade. Energy has to have direction. If you are not consciously directing it, it will take its direction from anything that's permeating it around you. So if you want to be in control of your own life, you have to take responsibility for that direction.
Absolutely. Well, Dee, it has been amazing to talk to you today, to be able to, like I said, have this therapy session with Dee today, which is what we've had. And I really hope that everyone reaches out. And I'm so appreciative of all of the knowledge that you have out there, whether it's your books or your webinars or your TED Talk that's out there. And even all of you, you mentioned it before, that these movies that you've done, that there's something that you can take from those. There's little lessons hidden and things like that. And that's one of the reasons I was so passionate about bringing entertainers on the show this season, because if I think back to every breakthrough moment I've ever had in my whole life, I think of a song, I think of a movie, I think of something pops in my head from that time. And so I'm just so thankful for all that you are doing for humanity. I'm so appreciative, Dee. Thank you.
Thank you for having me on. I could have spent another hour with you.
Well, we'll have to have you on again one day, and we'll go down another rabbit hole together.
Okay.
It'll be fun. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching this segment of the Breakthrough Show. Be sure you click all of the links in the show notes to connect with Dee, and we'll be back in just a minute for more of the show.
Did you know that the Breakthrough Show Facebook page is home to more than just the Breakthrough Show? We've got monthly shows we like to call Breakthrough Extras, with more inspiring content to facilitate your next big breakthrough. Join Shiraz of Energetic Magic every 4th Monday of the month for Rewriting Reality. During this live show, you'll be able to call into the provided phone number, click the link to video chat, or use the comment section to review your beliefs, revise your stories, and rewrite your reality. You'll be able to watch him help you and others go to your core beliefs and destroy them, just like magic. Find out more information at thebreakthroughshow.com or tune in live this coming Monday at 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern at facebook.com/breakthrough show. And now back to the Breakthrough Show.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Breakthrough Show. I want to give a huge thank you to our guests today. First, Olivia Ambani, our musical guest today, who was amazing. Thank you so much, Olivia, for being here and for sharing your gift with us, and also for the amazing conversation. It was so much fun to sit down and talk with you today, and also, of course, to get to hear your beautiful music. You guys, please make sure you check out her album, The Awakening, found on iTunes, Spotify, and also you can check out the links in our show notes and our website, thebreakthroughshow.com, to find out more information with Olivia and connect with her and her music. Also, I want to give a huge thank you to our special guest today, Dee Wallace. Now, I wanted to tell you guys a really quick, fun story about Dee, because at the beginning of season 3 of the Breakthrough Show, I sat down and I created this dream list of guests that I wanted to have on the show, and Dee was on that list. I remember when I showed a couple people this dream list, and they said to me, you know, wow, Jessica, this is a tall order, you know, don't have any expectations. Don't think that this is going to happen. And I remember in that moment feeling really discouraged about that, I slipped into a space of, oh, you're right. This is just a little show that I do. It doesn't, you know, why would they have time for me? You know, all of the things that we can tell ourselves. Start of season 4, something came up inside of me, and I said, no, I can, and I will. And if they say no, who cares? And it was like she said, thank you
for your advice, and now I'm going to go do what I want to do. That was basically what I did at the start of season 4. And so Dee was the first one on my dream list to say yes. And I just want to, on a personal note, thank her so much for that. And of course, also for being an incredible guest on the show today. I hope you guys were taking notes for Dee's portion of the show, because there was so many amazing things that she shared. And I know I can't wait to, you guys know I do like the graphics and stuff after with quotes. This is going to be one of those episodes where I can't pick one. I can't pick one, but we're going to try. We're going to try for sure. To Olivia, to Dee, thank you both. Beautiful, strong, empowered, amazing women for being on the show today. I really appreciate you so much. Now, coming up next week, and I want to also lead into the amazing month of July that we have coming up here on the Breakthrough Show. By the way, did you guys know this completes 3 months of season 4 of the Breakthrough Show? What? So I'm really excited to go into month 4 of season 4 of the Breakthrough Show. And coming up next week, it's going to be another Bring Your Cousin to Work Today day, but it is not going to be my cousin Jimmy. This time, we've got my cousin Julia on the show, which is a brand new face on the Breakthrough Show. I'm really excited to have her be a part of it. It is going to be our 4th of July or Independence Day episode here on the Breakthrough Show. I live in America. I know a lot of our fans here don't, but 4th of July is a lot of fun here in the United States. And we're going to be talking to my cousin because she is actually an Army veteran. And I'm excited to talk to her about that, as well as many other things, being a mother, what it's like to be cousins with me, and all of that fun stuff. So be sure you check that out. Plus, on next week's episode, it's also Bring Your Daughter to Work Day, because my daughter Margine, as part of the Celtic Traditions dance studio run by the beautiful Miss Amanda Tucker Poole, she is going to be here with her dancers, with my daughter, to do some Irish dancing for us, which is really exciting. So they'll be on next week's episode as well. Also coming up in July, the following week, we're going to be welcoming an amazingly talented pianist, Aaron Hill, to the show. And he plays just this beautiful, intuitive piano that it's just incredible every time he sits down at the keys. And so not only will we be talking about his journey and also, of course, how music fits into that, but we'll be talking about the piano and having him sit down and play for us as well. Then the following week, you guys remember, episode 8 of the show when we had David Austin Veal on to talk about his short Open Mic? Well, the producer of that short, Sabrina Precario, is going to be here for episode 16 to talk about all of her journey in becoming a producer of movies in Hollywood. And she's also an actress, and she's so amazing and really is one of the most kind people that I have ever met. She's going to be on the show, headlined, of course, by an amazing singer, Kevin Kiley. Can't wait for you to hear him on episode 16 as well. He's going to be here. And finishing off the month, we're going to be talking to a new friend of mine, Joe Nicasio, about business and about failure and about all of the things that can and will go wrong when you're an entrepreneur, and how to make it through that and build the kind of life and business that you desire. So you don't want to miss it. July is going to be incredible. Make sure that you get plugged into the Patreon, guys. Make sure you hit the get reminder button when you see it on Facebook, so please take a moment to rate, subscribe, comment, and share where available, because it helps us and it also helps you to be in the know when we have more episodes and good things coming out. And until next week, guys, make today a great day for a breakthrough. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of The Breakthrough. Please visit our website at www.thebreakthroughshow.com. And be sure to join our After the Breakthrough community powered by Patreon. We look forward to seeing you next week. Same time, same place for another inspiring episode.